Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you are having a great day. In today's story, OP's parents want her to help pay for her younger brother's education, but when she refuses, they reveal something unbelievable to her. Am I the idiot? My parents are forcing me to pay for my brother's grad school using money they never told me about. I've, 30 female, been financially independent since graduating college. I worked practically full-time while studying, recently paid off my student loans on my own, and just started saving to buy a home. I didn't apply to grad school, because I couldn't afford it, and my parents made it pretty clear growing up that we needed to stand on our own after high school. My brother, 22 male, is honestly a genius. He worked really hard in school, got a full academic ride to a great state school, and graduated with honors. I'm so proud of him. The problem now is he recently got into an extremely prestigious grad program that would open a lot of doors for him. He was hoping for scholarships or a paid internship to cover most of it, but it's not enough. Now he's facing tuition and housing costs in one of the most expensive cities in the country. My parents asked if I could help out, and suggested I contribute around $15,000 to get him through the first year. They'd match it, and he'd take loans for the rest. I said no. I've been working for over a decade on my own goals, and I'm just now starting to save for a house. I don't feel comfortable putting that on hold, especially when I had to turn down opportunities because there was no help available to me. During the conversation, my mom got frustrated and said they'd be using my other fund to help him instead. I asked what she meant, and she said they had set aside about $25,000 for me back when I was in college, meant to be used for a future wedding. I was completely blindsided. I had no idea this fund existed. I asked why I wasn't told about it when I was considering grad school, or now while I'm saving for a home. She said it was always intended for a wedding, not school or property, and since I haven't needed it, I'm not engaged or in a relationship, they decided to give it to my brother because he has a more immediate need. I'm not going to lie, I was pissed. I never got a chance to make a case for how I could have used that money, and now it's just being handed over to someone else. I told them I felt hurt and left out. My mom said I was being unfair, and that the money was never promised, and if I didn't want it for a wedding, then it made sense to use it for something meaningful. My brother told me he didn't know about the wedding fund either, and he understands why I'd be upset, but said he didn't ask for it. He just wants to go to school and thought we were all trying to support each other. I know my brother worked hard and isn't trying to take anything from me, but I can't help feeling like my parents are punishing me for being practical. OP gives more info in the comments. Not the idiot, those are really sexist expectations. If they wanted to financially support you, they could give you the choice of using the funds for education, or travel, a home or a wedding. That's what I've done with my daughters, who I've been saving for since they were born. But, despite it being an a-hole move, it is their choice how they spend their money. And it is presumably still their money, rather than an account in your name. So in practice the a-hole element was telling you that it was your money in the same move that they snatched it away from you again. Though it was really the sexism that underpinned that decision, which has clearly been there all along. That's the part that really upset me. Assuming they set aside money for both of us, why is he worth paying for grad school for, but I'm only worth paying for a wedding? I would like to know that too. Mom didn't say anything about replenishing the funds, but I'm not sure if she thinks I'd never need it, since I'm not in a relationship or engaged by now. I guess technically my parents helped with undergrad because I lived at home and saved on housing. We lived driving distance from my university. My brother's school was a few hours away, so he had to live there, but his scholarship covered it all. They paid for me to get tutored in middle and high school when I had trouble, and let me live at home rent-free during college to save on costs. Growing up they paid for both of our extracurriculars and only asked me to babysit him on occasion, which I didn't even mind. We were always really close despite him being so much younger. About her parents' favoritism. They've never favored him like this before. I tried to point out that I paid off my student loans just fine, and it wouldn't kill him to have to do the same. Never favored him like this before, that you know of. My mom liked to sneak covering expenses for my siblings and not me, oldest girl, to avoid a conversation about why. Who knows, maybe they've covered other things for him and you weren't aware. They helped me save a ton of money when I was in college by living at home instead of in the dorms. I had basically no expenses besides my car, gas, insurance, repairs, etc., and tuition. Never asked for rent or chipping in on food or household stuff. I moved out after college. My brother is currently at home, graduated early in December, and he's paying rent to my parents. Not the idiot, your parents are completely sexist. It was okay to save for your wedding, but not your education. It is okay to give to your brother for his education, but it seems he does not have a wedding fund. Mom and dad are a-holes. Allegedly they have money set aside for both of us. My mom said that I didn't want to go to grad school since I never applied, or else they might have had a discussion back then about the money. I think that's BS. Me too. Why is he having tuition in grad school in the first place? Is this just a master's degree or a PhD? He should be pursuing ATA or a position before the term starts and not have any tuition. Parents can then help him with housing, but if it's a prestigious program he should be getting a cost of living level stipend from the program on top of tuition. If he's pursuing or getting none of this, it shouldn't fall on you to make up the difference. The program costs around $100,000 a year between tuition and housing. His TA stipend, I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but he'll be working under a professor, plus scholarships and his own savings from internships is covering a little more than half. A normal TA-ship covers all tuition plus a stipend for living expenses, especially a prestigious program. Grad students are less students and more exploited workers. He will get paid barely enough to live in the city, depending on the program. My guess is he needs assistance from the family to fully cover his living expenses, which are dependent on location and roommates. If he has a set housing cost already, you should know, is he living alone or what? He is still looking for roommates. The housing cost he's already got is based on how much it would cost for him to live alone in a studio apartment. It's a new city really far away from us, so he doesn't know anyone already there. My dad said he might not need financial help next year if he finds a cheaper place with roommates during his first year. What kind of program? It's an MBA program, and he already has a TA position thanks to a recommendation from one of his undergrad professors. It just doesn't cover the whole cost. Oh my God, your parents suck, and their favoritism is showing a lot. They could have helped you for years, for something you really needed, but they chose not to. For what? To teach you a lesson? To show you that you're out there alone and the world doesn't help? Why could they have offered you this money to pay for your studies, but they chose not to because that money was only to be used for a hypothetical wedding? What the hell? And what if the fund was for studies and OP was getting married and needed that money? Would they let their daughter go into debt just because she was going to use it in a wedding? Even though she didn't need it to pay any student loan or something? And if OP had applied and went to grad school, would they actually tell her about the fund? I'm not so sure about that. But now that the golden child needs money, they want either OP to pay for it, or they'll use the money that was initially intended for her. What the F? And why is this fund only to be used for a wedding and not for her studies? Your parents are misogynistic idiots, and I'm really sorry, OP. Look, I am glad they let you live there rent-free during your college years, but we can't close our eyes in their explicit favoritism towards your brother here. Also, I'm sorry that your brother doesn't have money for his grad school, but it is not your fault, and you have no obligation to help him like this. Not the idiot OP, your parents are the ones who are. And what did you guys think of this situation? What would you do in OP's shoes? Would you help the brother? What about her parents? What would you say to them? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Now let's go to the update. Update, am I the idiot? My parents are forcing me to pay for my brother's grad school using money they never told me about. Thanks to everyone who commented on my original post, I really appreciated the insight, especially from those who helped me understand why this hit such a nerve. Just to clarify, I have no intention of cutting my parents out over this. They let me live at home rent-free during college, gave me a lot of academic support growing up. I wasn't a naturally strong student like my brother, and have always been loving in most other ways. This situation hurts, but it doesn't erase everything they've done for me. Mother's Day was tense. As soon as I arrived, my mom said, "I don't want another fight to ruin today," when I tried to bring up the money again. I left after brunch. We finally talked this past weekend. My brother said he hadn't known about the wedding fund until I brought it up, and felt awful it was causing tension. He's rethinking grad school now, saying it might be smarter to get work experience first. He applied to MBA programs and jobs while finishing undergrad, graduated early in December, and got into the program he planned to attend. Now he's planning to defer and focus on the job search instead. He also told me our parents had said I might help with the cost. He planned to pay me back, but realized he wouldn't earn anything for a few years and would still set me back. That's part of why he reconsidered. My mom wasn't happy. She said she didn't want him to give up an amazing opportunity just because I was, quote, being bitter. That really stung. I told her I wasn't bitter, I was blindsided. I found out about the money during a conversation where I was being asked to hand over $15,000 for someone else's future. That was painful, especially since I'd turned down opportunities because no help was available. I just wish I'd known. That's when my dad stepped in. After I was born, he started saving for what he imagined as my dream wedding. It was sentimental to him. When my brother was born, they saved a similar amount for his wedding or family expenses. Neither of us knew these funds existed. They only considered using his for school when other aid fell short. After I said no, they decided to use both funds to help him and figured they'd replenish mine later. I get why it made sense to them, but it still hurt. Many commenters pointed out the situation was sexist, even if unintentionally. It's hard not to feel like I was expected to get married, while my brother was expected to succeed. I don't think that's what they meant, but that's how it felt. To their credit, they listened. My dad apologized for not telling me sooner. My mom didn't fully agree, but I think she heard me. My brother asked if I'd help with his resume and interview prep, and I said yes. I told him I know this isn't his fault, he worked hard and deserves what he earned. I just needed to feel like my path mattered too. We're not back to 100%, but it feels better. I'm glad we talked. So glad to hear that you moved it forward and that your family members each made their own efforts. Sounds like a good family. My brother's a good kid. Honestly, the silence the past few weeks has been super weird, since we usually send each other memes at least a few times a week. OP adds in a comment. Since some people are getting hung up over the wedding fund money and I couldn't include it due to the character limit. After our talk, my parents agreed to add my name to the savings account so I can access the money directly. They asked that I withdraw it in chunks over time for tax reasons, but it's mine now. My dad still hopes I'll use it for a wedding someday instead of a house, but ultimately he said the decision is up to me. As for my brother, they said he'll get access to his account in the same way when he turns 30, just to keep things fair. Only your name should be on the savings account. This may be anecdotal, but when I've tried adding another person or I get added to an account, it's always preferred to just create a new account. I would check with the bank on their policy. I need to look up the tax laws for my area, but I know monetary gifts can do weird things to income brackets or mortgage calculations. We plan to handle that this week. Well, I'm glad things have sorted out for OP's family, and that she now has access to the money that had been saved for her. But still, why didn't they just set up a trust fund for their children and let them decide whether it should be used for education, wedding, a house, or something else that was important? And why in OP's case they only want it to be used for a wedding and nothing else? I'm glad they listened to you and let you have access to the money, OP, but still, they should really think about those answers. And what did you guys think of this update? Did you like it? Do you think OP's parents were right or not? Don't forget to leave your comments down below. Oh, and I hope you are enjoying the video so far. If so, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications to know when a new video is out. Now let's go to the next story. Am I the idiot? Wife asked for it and then got upset when it happened. I'm 38 male, a wrestler. I used to compete at a high level. Obviously I don't compete anymore, but I still lift weights and wrestle for fun. My wife, 36 female, and I have 3 kids, 15 female, 11 male and 9 female. I enrolled all our kids in wrestling at the age of 7, the older 2 have been training and competing since then, and the youngest didn't like the sport so she quit and now she is doing gymnastics. My wife has never wrestled, but she goes to the gym regularly and she has decent strength. Yesterday, I was chatting with my wife and the topic of our daughter's wrestling tournament came up and she asked me what do I think will happen if she and our daughter wrestled, and I told her that she has no chance. She answered, "She is not beating me, I'm much stronger," and I told her, "You can try if you want to, but I'm telling you we'll get ragdolled," and she said, "Okay, let's do it then." Oh boy, bad idea. So I called our daughter into the backyard and told her that her mom wants to wrestle. They wrestled while me and the other kids were watching, and just like I told her, my wife got handled with ease. When they were done, it didn't last long, my wife laughed it off and acted fine, but as soon as it was only me and her she said to me, "So you knew how that wrestling match was going to go?" I answered yes, and she said, "And you still let it happen?" I got embarrassed by my own child in front of my other children, and now they are not going to look at me the same way. I told her she is the one who asked for it, and the idea that our kids will not look at her the same way is completely false, because I taught our kids to be graceful and respectful in victory and defeat, and I'm pretty sure they have respect for their mother regardless of what happens in a wrestling match, even after I said she wasn't not convinced and still upset, which is not justified in my opinion. Am I the idiot? Yeah, not the idiot, but why did your wife want to fight your daughter so badly, who's been training since she was a child? While your wife doesn't. Your daughter is 15, she's not a little kid, who pretends to play fight with her mother, especially when she's told not to. You guys told her to actually wrestle, so she did. But why did your wife ask to do this in the first place? Does she think she needs to prove she's stronger than her children? If so, why would she think that? Is she feeling insecure in her authority as a mother? I don't know, but the simple fact that she asked for this wrestle was weird. And as for your wife feeling embarrassed, I don't doubt she is, even if she has no reason to feel that way, but it wasn't your fault. And yes, you warned her what would happen, she just chose not to listen to you. Not the idiot, OP. And what did you think of this situation? What did you advise OP to do? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Now, let's read what the comments have to say about this. Not the idiot, but your wife might want to look into a few therapy sessions to help her deal with authority/hierarchy issues in a more healthy way. As the kids get older, I'm in charge because I'm bigger/stronger/better at everything/the adult attitude gets less and less helpful, and having a big chip on your shoulder instead of working with kids who should be getting more independent gets more and more counterproductive. Someone with some outside perspective and experience with reframing conflicts like that might be a big help when it's higher stakes than a backyard wrestling match. Sorry, but your wife asked for it. She asked you for a professional opinion, you gave it, she took exception and was proven wrong. If she didn't like it, that's on her, not the idiot. Not the idiot, and it's probably a good idea to remind her that a huge part of wrestling is technique and isn't solely reliant on strength. And if anything, mom participating in their activities like this regularly would probably make her actually closer to her children, so long as she doesn't act like a baby about losing. Kids will pick up on that and lose respect for her once they realize what a sore loser she is. So long as everyone is having fun, it's a great family activity, to be honest, and you can totally still have fun even if you lose. Not the idiot. Your wife should be embarrassed about her inability to accept defeat gracefully though. So the 36-year-old wife, with no experience, wrestled her 15-year-old daughter who has 8 years of training and lost the match. Wife is delusional, she also effed around and found out. Stupid with 2 O's. Not the idiot. And that's it for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, go watch the video that is appearing on the screen right now or click on one of our playlists that are in the description to watch more videos. Until next time.